Let's talk the cup. One more thing, like, subscribe, and share. Come on, let's talk the cup. Woo!
Hey, good evening, everybody. It is March 12th, 2024. This is Cutler on the Let's Talk to Cutler video YouTube channel. Cutler, get your words out, for goodness sakes. I'm thinking and processing, and I'm way ahead of where I'm trying to go with this. But this is the Cutler, Let's Talk to Cutler YouTube station channel. This is our virtual book club, and this is the moment when we spend 1800 seconds together, and I'm just thankful. I have so much to say, you all, until that's why I'm just trying to get everything out in one felt swoop. I often say I have a whole lot to say in a little time to say it, but I'm so thankful that we get a chance to spend these 1800 seconds together. And if this is your first time, do me a favor, invite somebody else. Isn't that strange? It's your first time and you can go invite somebody else. Well, listen, I'll tell you what, if this is your first time, do me a favor, go ahead and subscribe. And then after you subscribe, just click on the notification bell, because it lets you know whenever I've gone live. It lets you know whenever I've uploaded new content. We spend these days together, these 1800 seconds together. And it's always my hope to offer something that is inspirational, something that is motivational, something that will sometimes challenge us to show up better than we did yesterday. I don't know about you, but I always want to try to show up better. I want to be intentional about showing up better, so that way I show up a little bit better today than I did yesterday, and I'm intentional about showing up better tomorrow than I did today. So now here are the words coming. They're coming very fast because I really do have a whole lot to say. I want to talk about how to not waste your time. That's what I want to talk about this evening: how to not waste your time, how not to lose time, how not to lose track of time, how not to feel that you're behind. Because I read something today that shook me, and I'll share it in just a moment, something that really shook me, and it really serves as a catalyst for this evening's conversation. I'm always very busy doing things. It seems to me that I have an agenda. If you're like me, I always have an agenda. There's always something for me to do. I don't have very many idle moments. I know a lot of people say, well, you know, an idle mind is the devil's workshop. Well, then he doesn't have a workshop here, because my mind is never idle. There's always something for me to do. If you're anything like me, sometimes you have a whole lot to do. You have a whole lot to do, and you feel like you don't have a whole lot of time to do it in. And I think that's a good thing, because sometimes we set our agenda and we navigate our lives, and we set things so that we don't have to be idle. We don't have to be idle. And I want to talk about that. I'll come back and I'll talk about it in just a moment. But I do want to do a shout out to those of you who were the very first people to get into the chat. Some of y'all even beat me over to the chat. You all are what I call the LTTC VIPs. You all know it. It's the Let's Talk to Color, very important people. And of course, everybody's important, but these are the ones who just make it over to the chat just a little before I get there. So I want to do a shout out to you. Say a special hello to Andy Cutler, Sylvia Clemens, and T. Cutler. Good evening to all of you all. Listen, you all, it's March. Today is March the 12th. We're almost in the middle of March. And you're right, McDonough, you're right. It's almost mid-March. The first quarter is almost over. How about that? Remember when we were back in November and December talking about we were preparing for 2024? Well, 2024 is here. So it's almost as if it is knocking on our door saying, hey, if you didn't notice, I'm already here. I'm already here. The first quarter is almost over. How are you doing? What are you doing? And so maybe this is the time we would just need to do a checkup on ourselves to say, hey, I've set some goals. Am I meeting them? I wrote down my vision. Is my behavior in alignment with the vision that I have for my life? And so we need to ask ourselves that. And one of the things that we might need to do is to say, hey, am I wasting my time? Am I wasting time? I read something today. Again, I read something today that literally shook me, you all, and I'll share it with you because it made me think, okay, am I wasting my time? What is going on? Am I wasting my time? What's going on here? How do I feel about where I am in this first quarter of 2024? How do I feel about it? What's happening here? Let me tell you what I read. Let me see if I could just share it with you all. I want to go back and let's see. I thought I had placed it somewhere here on my desktop. I thought I'd place it on my desktop. Let me see if I can find it. But I read something, and listen to this, you all. It says, one day you will wake up and there won't be any more time to do the things you've always wanted to do. One day you will wake up and there won't be any more time to do the things you've always wanted to do. And I don't know about you all, but when I heard that, it made me once again come face to face with my own mortality. And I thought, wow, so I'll wake up and I won't have any more, and I'll be out of time. Do you all ever think about running out of time? We think about a whole lot of things. We think about running out of a whole lot of things. If you cook, you think about running out of things to go into your recipe. You run out of milk, you run out of flour, you run out of sugar, you run out of this. If you're really keen on your finances, you think about, am I running out of money? You know, if you're on the highway, you think about, am I running out of gas? If you're building, you ask yourself, am I running out of space? If you are active, you ask yourself, am I running out of energy? But as you're living, sometimes you have to stop and say, am I running out of time? And you have to ask yourself, am I running out of time? And what is it that why is it that shakes us to think, I don't want to run out of time? So I want to chat about that for just a moment, you all. And I want us to be very intentional and deliberate about hearing this conversation, how not to waste your time, how to make sure that you are not running out of time. What does it mean? What does it look like? Cutler, what can I do to make sure that I'm not wasting my time, to make sure that I'm not running out of time? One of the things that we have got to know, you all, and I thought about this thing, once I read that quote, I said, oh my goodness, we have to make sure that we know our purpose. And you have to make sure that you know your purpose to the point whereby you can focus on it. You have to focus in like a laser. You got to know your visions. You got to know your goal. You have to know your plan, because they help us to establish priorities. I don't know about you all, but I want to make sure that I am not running out of time. I want to make sure, one, that I'm not wasting my time, but I want to make sure, two, that I'm not running out of time. Sometimes we are presented in life with different opportunities. We are presented with things that we can do. And when we are presented with opportunities, we have to ask ourselves, am I seizing the moment? Am I seizing the opportunity? Or am I saying to myself, I don't have time for that. I'm too busy for that. We have to make sure that we're managing our lives in such a way until we don't run out of time. Make sure that you don't run out of time. Make sure that we don't waste time. So when I said we have to make sure that we know our purpose, make sure that you know what it is that you want to do in life. Know your visions, know your goals, know your plans, because they really do help you set your priorities every day. Identify what it is that you want to do and prioritize those things. Set aside some time to make sure that you're investing in your tomorrow. You might need to say, well, let me step back for just a moment and say, this is what's important to me. These are the priorities of my life. This is what is important. And if you've never written them out, then for goodness sakes, God's sake, and your own sake, stop, sit down and write out your priorities. It could be the most important, maybe 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes, or even an hour that you spend in your life, so that you can stay on course each day and you don't allow yourself to become distracted. You don't allow yourself to become disrupted. You don't allow yourself to become bombarded by things and people that sometimes don't matter. Make sure that you know your purpose and you focus on it. You are laser focused on your purpose. You're driven because you're determined not to run out of time. And then make sure that you stay on course by sometimes saying no to the other things that want to distract you. One of the things that I've become more and more protective of is my time. People say, yeah, because time is money. Time is not necessarily money, but time is the most valuable asset that I have and the most valuable gift that I've been given. So I have to make sure that I don't waste my time, and I have to make sure that I don't allow others to waste my time. Be fiercely protective of your time. And make sure that you are committed to the things that you want to do. I'm serious about this, you all. Make sure that you are committed to the things that you want to do. And you say to yourself, listen, let me make sure, what is it that I can do? And then what is it that I can't do? And if it's something that's not high on your priority list, I just need to, I really, honestly, I'm trying to help save somebody's life along with mine. So you have to learn how to stay on course by saying no. And that means if something is not high on your priority list, if it's low on your list of values, on your projects, if it's low, learn how to say no. And learn how to say to people, no, listen, with all due respect, and mean that with all due respect, my answer is no. I mean that, you all. I hope this is helping you all as much as it's speaking to me. Learn how to say to some people, with all due respect, my answer is no, and accept my no for what it is. Because a whole lot of efforts are sometimes wasted by people trying to complete tasks that don't even belong to them. Why am I wasting my time trying to complete a task when it is yours but not mine? When you are committed to it, but not me. When it is a high priority for you, but not for me. Learn how to stay on course by saying no. T. Cutler, I'm with you. In this season, I'm big on not letting others waste my time either. So you have to be laser focused on your goals and on your purpose. And you got to learn how to say no. And make sure that you don't let people waste your time, and don't you waste anybody else's. And from time to time, if you really don't want to run out of time, listen, here's one of the things that you need to do. Make sure that you schedule some downtime for yourself. Because sometimes we're busy. If you want to make sure, okay, Color, I don't want to run out of time. What is something that I could do? If you don't want to run out of time, just schedule some downtime. Just schedule some downtime, time when you say, listen, let me just engage myself in something that doesn't require a lot of effort, something that doesn't require a lot of energy. Let me schedule some time for me to just think and recalibrate. When you're exercising, you need to take a break. When you're working, you need to go on leave. Do that with your life. Maybe even from day to day, give yourself a couple of minutes, a break in the midst of each day. Maybe where you can stretch, maybe where you can just go outside and breathe, maybe you can rub your eyes, maybe you can just massage your neck or your head or something. I'm telling you, schedule some downtime for you each day. And if you get to, you all, let me just help you with this. If you get to the end of the day and you have to ask yourself, did I take any downtime? The answer is probably no. And we have to learn, yes, ma'am, Yvonne, that's the word schedule. We have to schedule time for ourselves, because we're scheduling time in our lives for everybody else, for everything else, but we are not engaging in self-love. And I'm telling you, the quote that I read that says, one day you're going to wake up and you're going to be out of time. You don't have time to do the thing that you want to do. Oh, I dread a day like that. To wake up and say, oh no, I'm out of time. Time is something that we don't get back. So learn how to schedule. Yes, ma'am. Schedule some down time. And just make sure, as you're going through life and as you're working and you're striving to get what you want, make sure that you don't overdo it. Marissa, yes, schedule some me time. I'm telling you all, honestly, it works. It works. It works. It works. It works. And you're saying, okay, well, what? Grab a Post-it. Do something. You have got to matter to you if you don't matter to anybody else. Let me say that again for the people in the back row. You have got to matter to you if you don't matter to anybody else, because people will ask of you and ask of you and ask of you and pull and pull and pull and poke and poke and poke and prod and prod and prod and push and push and push. And then suddenly you realize you don't have any more of you left. I hope you're hearing what I'm saying. I hope you're receiving what I'm saying. Don't overdo it. Because when you are tired, when you are drained, when you are exhausted, you're not as efficient. You're not as effective. And so you have to make sure that you don't, I'm telling you, you have to make sure that you overdo it, that you don't overdo it. Rome wasn't built in a day. It was done little by little by little by little, piece by piece by piece by piece. So you have to make sure that you are not drained all the time. You're not tired all the time. You're not exhausted all the time, because if that is the case, your efficiency is going to fail. Your effectiveness is right out of the window. So make sure that you don't overdo it. Make sure that you eat healthy, you get enough sleep, you get enough rest, you avoid putting toxins in your body, you make sure that you exercise when you can. And I'm telling you, if possible, just make sure that you put some exercise in every part of your day, at some point of your day, because that renews and refreshes your body. You have to do it just like it is an appointment on your job. We schedule meetings for everybody. We schedule appointments for everything. You just may need to make sure that you put 5, 10, 15 minutes of exercise, of physical exercise in every day. Cutler, what are you saying? Schedule some me time. You're worth it. We will sit on a conference call in a meeting, and we know when that meeting goes overtime that it may have impeded upon another part of our schedule. But do we take care of ourselves when it's all said and done? And we just go right on like nothing else happened. Oh yeah, they took advantage of my time, and you just keep right on going. We don't get up, we don't walk outside, we don't breathe, we don't inhale fresh air, we don't drink enough water. I'm telling you all, don't overdo it. Because when you overdo it, what did I say? Your efficiency goes out of the window. And one of the things that you want to do in order not to waste or run out of time, you want to make sure that you are as efficient as possible. What does that mean? It means I hang around with like-minded people. It means that I interact with efficient people as well. I interact with people who add value to my life. When I'm going shopping, when I'm looking for things, I deal with companies that will improve the quality of my life. If I'm in a space or in a position where I can call meetings, whether it's on the job, in my civic clubs, or at church, or wherever it may be, I make sure that I hold effective meetings. I don't waste people's time. I make sure that if I'm sometimes invited to things, I will decline invitations to things where there is no agenda that's going to benefit me. Or if it seems like we are accomplishing nothing in the meeting, I decline those invitations. Nope, sorry, I can't make it. Send me the minutes. I'm telling you how Cutler operates. That's what I do. Oh, so what are we going to discuss at that meeting? Well, I don't have an agenda. Oh, you don't have an agenda, so that means you don't necessarily know what you're going to talk about. So even if you don't have a written agenda, you would at least have a mental agenda. So when I call you and I ask you, thank you for the invitation, what is it that we're going to talk about? So you can tell me what we're going to talk about. If you can't tell me what we're going to talk about before the meeting, you just can't tell me you just can't get in the meeting and expect me to show up. So what am I doing? Declining your invitation. I'm gracefully bowing out. Because when you don't know what you're going to talk about, you're guaranteed to accomplish nothing. And at this point in my life, I need to be as efficient as I possibly can. What does that mean? It means I'm going to decline some invitations. I'm going to say no. I'm going to try to make sure that I interact with people who add value to my life, and hopefully I add value to their lives. I'm going to make sure that I avoid conflicts at all possible costs. Listen, make sure that you avoid conflicts. Make sure that you avoid drama. Make sure that you avoid unnecessary trauma in your life. Because you don't have to work. You don't have to worry about repairing your life if you don't allow your life to be damaged. I need to say that again. You won't have to worry about spending so much time repairing your life if you guard your life to make sure it does not become damaged to the extent that you can. I know life happens. I know there are some things that we're not in control of, but to the extent that you can control some things, then you need to do what we call damage control. Before it ever happens, let me make sure that I do some damage control. I'm worth avoiding the conflicts. That's me. I'm worth avoiding the conflict, so that way I don't have to spend unnecessary time trying to repair my life because I did some damage control before it happened. Make sure to the extent that that it is possible that you stay as cool and calm as collected as you can. Make sure that you stay as cool and calm and as collected as you possibly can. Why do you say that, Cutler? Because getting angry will cost you something. I know this doesn't affect you all, but go and tell somebody who it really does affect. Come on and let's talk to Cutler. The man just said getting angry will cost you something. And I fear that it costs you more than it buys you. It costs you more than it gets you. It costs you more than it benefits you. It costs you more than it achieves. Be careful how often you get angry. Be careful how often you lose your temper. Be careful how often you get mad. Doesn't achieve a whole lot. One of my favorite passages, be not hasty in thy spirit to become angry. Be not hasty in thy spirit to become angry, to get mad, because anger resteth in the bosom of fools. It is not a wise person who harbors anger, because it affects you emotionally, it affects you mentally, it affects you physically, it affects you. And so you have to make sure that you are as efficient as you possibly can. Keep your cool, do what you need to do, spend time with people who add value to your life, spend time with people whose life you add value to it. Make sure that you get things that you need, things that are going to add quality to your life. Don't accept invitations for everything. You don't have to be a garbage can for everybody's trash. Because some people are just looking for places and people to dump stuff. Years ago, my great-great Aunt Louise died at the age of 96 years old, and I had the privilege of speaking on behalf of the family at her funeral. And I said there were some lessons that I learned from my great-great aunt. And one of the lessons that I learned is that you don't have to be a garbage can for everybody's trash. She said, just because they talk, you don't have to listen. When I tell you that thing comes back to me, just like we were sitting down, just like we were sitting on her front porch before she would go in the kitchen and stir up something that she would call sweet bread. Every time I went home, she would make me this small little pan of what we call sweet bread. It was really pound cake, is what some people would call it. But we would sit on the porch and I would take life's lessons from my great-great Aunt Louise. And one of the things she told me is just because they talk, you don't have to listen. She said, you don't have to be a trash can for everybody's trash. Be efficient. I'm thankful for people like that, because what did she do? She added value to my life. She didn't know it. She thought she was just sharing wisdom of the ages and wisdom of her years, and she did. But more than sharing wisdom, she was adding value. I miss those conversations. I miss her. And one of the things that we have to do, you want to make sure that you don't waste your time. I'm going to offer you this. We may have to conclude on this. I hope that maybe I can make a few more points. But one of the things that you have got to do, if you want to make sure that you don't waste time, that you don't run out of time, then take this tip from me. Get rid of bad habits. Erase the bad habits in your life. Set goals. Set goals that will work for your life, so that you can strike a good work-life balance, so that so that you can execute and perform time management, so that you can avoid becoming overwhelmed, so that you can avoid some of the pitfalls, so that you can avoid some of the hurdles and the obstacles. Make sure that you just erase some of the bad habits. Some of us, we have bad habits, and we know they're bad habits. We know the bad habits. Everybody knows the bad habits, and we keep on going just like they're not bad habits. Come on, we're still in the first quarter, and the first quarter is not over until the end of this month, you all. Let's just erase some of the bad habits that we have. We know we have them. Let's not act like we don't have them. Maybe I'm the only one who has them. But let's not act like we don't have them. Cutler, what's one? Sometimes we procrastinate. 2, sometimes we talk too much. Sometimes we talk about things that really don't affect our lives. Sometimes that's everybody else's burden to carry, their burden to bear, and it's not mine. What are some other bad habits? We don't write down our goals. We say we love ourselves, but we don't treat ourselves like we love ourselves, because if we really love ourselves, then we would do everything that's important to ourselves. I was telling some of my staff members today, listen, here's what we need to do. We need to make sure that we don't put off to tomorrow what we can do today. We don't prioritize our lives. I'm just calling out some of the things that maybe they're just my bad habits or things that I've done. Sometimes we know the good to do and we don't do it for whatever reasons. Sometimes we allocate our resources for things that really aren't going to bring us the best value or bring us the best benefit. So we don't do a cost benefit analysis. Sometimes we waste our emotions. Ooh, Cutler, what did you say? Sometimes we waste our emotions. We cry about things that aren't worth crying about. We get angry about things that are not worth getting angry about. We exert energy on things that are not worth having our energy exerted. Sometimes we have too many irons in the fire. I'm just talking about bad habits, trying to encourage us to erase bad habits. Sometimes we don't eat what we know we should eat. We don't move when we know we should move. I'm talking about physically moving. Sometimes we let people in our space who hear me clearly when I say this, and I'm not suggesting that I am better than anybody else or that you are better than anybody else, but sometimes we let people in our space who don't deserve to be there. Why don't they deserve to be there? Because they add nothing to your life. We have people in our lives who the only thing they've done is to drain us, but we allow them to stay there. We have people who allow us to become disconnected from the power source that we have, but we allow them to stay there. It's almost like a light that sometimes flickers. Have you ever put a light bulb in and it flickers and then you realize, oh, it's flickering because it is not connected to the power source? Sometimes we have things and situations and circumstances and people who sometimes connect us from the power source, and we realize that our lives are flickering, but there is no sustained glow. Sometimes we have to erase the bad habits. Got to stop wasting our time and stop allowing other people to waste our time. Let's do right by ourselves. I want to encourage us. We're getting ready to end this quarter. There are 3 quarters. There are 3 months in every quarter of the year. So one quarter will end in March, another quarter will end in June, another quarter will end in September, and then the last quarter ends in December. We're ending this first quarter of the year, the end of this month. How are we doing? How are we doing with our goals? How are we doing with casting our visions? How are we doing with prioritizing our lives? How are we doing with the things that we said we were going to accomplish? How are we doing with the things that we said we were going to let go? How are we doing with bringing the right people into our lives? How are we doing with staging our resources and identifying them and knowing what they are? How are we doing with not wasting our time? Let's not wake up. Doesn't matter how old, how young we are. Let's not wake up one day and realize that we are out of time. There's another passage. So teach us to number our days. I think sometimes we say that within the context of going to funerals and homegoing services and all of that, but it is not for the one, it is not for the deceased, but it is an admonition for those of us who yet live. Teach us to number our days. Teach us to use our time wisely. Teach us to get the benefit of the air that we breathe and the blood that flows through our body. Teach me to make the best of the time that I have. Teach me how not to waste my time. Teach me how not to get in the way of myself. Teach me to number my days and to make sure that I don't squander one of the greatest gifts that I have. That gift is the gift of time. I hope I've said something that inspired someone this evening. I hope I've said something that motivated somebody this evening. I hope I've said something that challenged us this evening when it comes to our time and how we have to be good stewards of our time and how we sometimes let other people have a hand in our time. No. Only clean hands can touch my time. Only clean hands can touch my time because my time is too valuable. So if you're coming into my life trying to muddy up the waters of my time, listen, I have to dismiss you. Only clean hands can touch the value of the gift that I have, because that gift is called time. And as I promised, I try not to waste your time. So let me say thank you for allowing me to come into your home, your space, wherever you have allowed me to come into. I hope I really, really, really do. This is from my heart. I hope I've challenged us this evening to make sure that we look at time as the gift that it is. It is the greatest resource. It is the greatest gift that we will ever receive. And when it's gone, it's gone. Let's not wake up one morning and one day, one evening and say, I'm all out of time. Take a proverbial, you'll look back and say, what did I do with it? Did I use it wisely? Let's keep building community. Let's keep maintaining connectivity. Let's stay safe and stay sane, and know this, that from my heart to yours, there is and always will be so much love. I thank you all. I thank you for challenging me. I thank you for helping to make me a better person. Let's tell somebody else. Until the next time we talk, go and tell somebody else. Come on and let's talk to Cutler. I'll see you all the next time I see you. Don't let anybody waste your time. Take care. Good night, all.